Admiral's log. It looks like we're going to have several years of peace ahead of us. This is good. An empire that expands too quickly is one that is likely to encounter a lot of strife and resistance from the newly gained territories. Fortunately, it is not my department to manage these new territories and deal with the local populace. I can focus my efforts on furthering our naval power. To that end, I've started a rigorous program of drills and educational programs for the men. From the highly practical drills of damage control to the more theoretical workings behind our new rangefinders, my men will be the best sailors on the planet. Naval technology in general is advancing rapidly. Our shipyards continue to increase their capabilities, and we will be able to build ever bigger ships. The latest projection is that by 1925 we'll have the capacity to build battleship upwards of 125,000 tons. Having this ability doesn't mean that we should necessarily build such lumbering behemoths of ships. Their investment in resources and men is vast, and the loss of such a ship would be devastating to the Navy and Japan at large. On the other hand, having such a formidable warship would mean we possess an impressive deterrent to keep other nations from attacking Japan. I will think on these new opportunities more and discuss them with my staff. We will be developing plans for the years ahead. Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to episode 6 of the campaign. There seems to be a bit of a scuffle going on in West Greenland. I wasn't planning on really showcasing much of 1913 because I'm currently not at war, and most of the wars happening around the world don't interest me that much, except for the one that is France versus Germany with the invasion. I'll update you on that in a second. West Greenland. It's a bloody affair, but not as bloody as the rest, because the Greenland guys have lost 6 soldiers and the Danish lose 2. What is happening over there? Well, Greenland... Greenland is officially controlled by Denmark. They have an army force, don't laugh, of 89. And they are trying to break away from Greenland. From Denmark. They're trying to become their own state. So this icon here symbolizes that there is an uprising going on in West Greenland. I think we might see like 10 guys die on every side and that'll be it. As for the war in Europe, it's going all over the place. It is a nice shuffle of armies here. The French are still slowly but definitely shuffling their way into Eastern Germany. Their army force is growing rather than shrinking. The Germans have lost a substantial amount of infantry. The French have lost even more. But considering the numbers, the French are definitely going to win this. In the meanwhile, the Germans have decided to take a little trip. The German attacking group here of 310k is going to run into a wall of Russian soldiers. Yes, in Ukraine. 395,000 Russian fighters over there. In the meanwhile, the Russian group from Belarus, with an army force of 1.2 million, is going to have a nice little vacation in Poland, where apparently this armed force of 310,000 is not only going on an expeditionary mission to Ukraine, but is also defending Poland at the same time. So how exactly this is going to go, I don't really know. I think we might see Germany take Ukraine, and then the Russians are going to take Poland, so... one way or another, Poland's not going to be independent for a while longer. As for rest of the affairs in the world, my relationships with everybody are pretty good. Much to my chagrin, really. I could start influencing this, increasing tensions, or even improving relationships with a nation that I like. But right now, I'm mostly modernizing my fleet, and it's not going as quickly as I'd like. Because what's happening is I'm trying to build a lot of new ships, but because my shipyard capacity simply isn't there, I'm not able to build like 15 battleships at the same time. And that makes this a fairly slow deal. So what I'm doing is building 5 ships at the same time. That is a mix of battleships and battle cruisers. That definitely slows the growth of the other ships here. The Oshun, the Sagami, the Ontake, and the Kamikawa Maru. The problem is, if you want to get more ports, if you want to get more shipbuilding capacity, well, you're going to have to go and get some more ports from somebody else. The larger the home port capacity is, the larger the shipbuilding capacity is of a nation. So it definitely helps if you're building out your shipyard size, as far as I understand it. It is, however, going to be far faster if you want to build more ships to simply have more shipyards. How do you get more shipyards then? Well, you can take over territory if you're so inclined. The problem is, I don't really have that many candidates. I got the Chinese, I got the French, and I got the British, and that's about it. And I do happen to have fairly good relationship with all of them. The French and the British, I'm not touching that. I don't mind annoying the Chinese. So let's see if we can slowly but steadily increase tensions with the Chinese Empire. Knock out their 17 battleships. Yeah, that's a lot of firepower. And hope that they're going to be distracted with sending their ships to Germany to fight those guys. So that I can take a bit of time, scoop up some territory, and ideally take control of a couple of Chinese ports. Now, of course, this is all that China has. As far as I know, the Chinese don't have any additional colonies. Their war with the Germans is ongoing, so it's not like they claimed any territory in Africa from Germany. So what you see here is what you get. You don't have to zoom out across the map. What has happened is that the Chinese were able to take Qingdao from the Germans, so the Germans have absolutely nothing left. There is no capacity for the Germans to resupply their ships here. Unless they have a friend. And they do. The Dutch have allied themselves with the Germans. Not my proudest moment as an actual Dutchman, but this is the game, and the AI of the game has decided, nope, we're going to join the Germans. I don't think it's going to go well for them, but whatever. As for me, I'll just continue skipping a couple turns, and if something interesting shows up, I will, of course, show you. After a couple casualties on both sides, Greenland has been successful in defeating the remnants of Denmark forces. So West Greenland is now an independent nation. Would you look at that? We now have Nuuk. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Danish still have sent a couple of ships here, but beyond a token force like that. It seems like the people from West Greenland, all 5,000 of them, are not exactly intimidated by the forces that are held by the Danish over there. As for the little skirmish that was France versus Germany, it's been resolved. I wasn't a contestant in this battle, I wasn't a party to this war, but I'm not seeing the invasions between Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Poland. I'm not seeing the invasion of Germany from France anymore. I'm beginning to suspect there's been a peace. And if you look at the stats, I'm right. Now, Germany still has a pretty hefty economy. They got 51 billion a year, I get 40 billion a year. So my economy is definitely a lot smaller. The Admiral, however, has been largely humiliated. The nation is somewhat content, which is interesting considering the beating that they just taken on the hands of the French, the Germans, the Chinese. Basically lots and lots of nations. As for the rest of the world, the only conflict that seems to be brewing is the Soviet Union versus the Austro-Hungarians, myself against the Austro-Hungarians, and beyond that, the Austro-Hungarians versus the French. That seems to be the major... okay, the British are just about as bad as I am. That seems to be the major factors here. The US is not really siding with anybody or going against anybody, which is arguably good, because they got 120 ships, weighing a little over 1 million tons. The Brits are always an interesting power to keep an eye on, with their supposed 35 battleships, but I'm not sure if they have that many. Their admiral is highly respected. I believe that the content level makes absolutely no sense. Because if you look at... here, nations, people... I believe this is how happy they are. Oh, sorry, this is how much unrest there is. So, there's... Okay, never mind, it makes sense. There's no unrest in Italy, for example, so people are very content. Over here, they're very content. I got 5 unrest. But if you look at the guys over here in the Chinese, there is a rebellion brewing. If only I could capitalize on that. This would explain why the Chinese keep very much trying to appease me. They constantly keep trying to improve relations with me, and there's not much I can do about that. So our relationship has gone up to 31. The only parties they're negative with are Italy and Austria-Hungary. But that's it. So Austria-Hungary. This is going to be probably an explosive situation happening in Europe. And if the French go to war, it is entirely likely that the British are also somewhat going to go to war. So what I'm going to try and do is ally myself with the French. And see if I can get myself dragged into this war. It is going to be a hell of a stretch to get there. But thankfully, the Suez Canal, as you can see, is quite busy this time of year. And it allows my ships to get there a lot easier than having to go all the way around Africa. I still have the ports over... Where was my port? Here. So that's a bit out of the way. But I was kind of discarding the opportunity to use the Suez Canal, which is currently held by the Ottoman Empire, and that is an ally of mine. So what is happening if I get into a confrontation with Austria-Hungary? They can no longer use the Suez Canal because my ally is going to join my side and they'll not be able to use the canal. So it's going to be a one-way straight. I can send ships to them, they cannot send ships to me. And I quite like that position. It is going to get really busy over here because they do have a lot of ships. And having no resupply port of my own, except for my ally, is going to allow me to potentially send a lot of ships home and have a lot of travel time. Speaking of travel time, let's see if I can actually make it there. I have a max range of about 12,000 kilometers. If I want to move a ship over here, that's 14,000 kilometers, so I cannot even make it there. That means I'm going to have to refit my ships to make themselves more efficient and actually have a sort of expeditionary force before something like this is even going to be entertained as an option in the first place. A little while later, we're in March 1915. And slowly but steadily, the Chinese admiral and myself are throwing insults at each other. This has led to a substantial worsening of relationship. We're now at -28. I do foresee this one escalating, and I foresee that there's going to be a conflict with China within the next 2 years or so in-game. So, what do you do when your adversary is this close? Well, you build a whole bunch of destroyers, and you mine the shit out of Port Arthur, Dalian, Nampo, Chemulpo, this one definitely, Magong. So we're going to be needing a lot of mine laying capabilities. There's two ways you can go about this. You can design a new destroyer, or you can have a little chat with your submarine group. The submarines that I currently have, I believe, have no real capability. No, they don't have any capability of deploying mines. Coastal mine-laying submarines might be exactly what I need. These guys carry 12 mines, and if you have a strict mine-layer submarine, you're looking at 16 mines. That is a nice amount of mining capability. Their top speed is really low, it's 8 knots. It's 5.8 knots for these guys. But they're only costing me 1.3 million. Their displacement is 289 tons, whereas if I were to build a destroyer, we're looking at probably 1,400 tons of destroyer. So building a bunch of submarines capable of deploying mines, yes please. We are Japan. I think an investment of 50 mine-laying submarines is probably going to be... yeah, it's a bit on the expensive side, but it's not that bad. Let's take this down a notch, take that down a notch. And how long is this going to take? 6 months. Right, 6 months. So, let's see if we can set a port for a whole bunch of these guys. We're going to go to Port Arthur. We're going to have a bunch of these sitting in Magong. We're going to have a bunch of these sitting in Dalian, which is something else I just outlined. Other ports that I might really like to deploy submarines in. Keelung comes to mind. Yep, let's deploy a bunch of submarines to Keelung. Set ports. Ah, I can't deploy them there directly. I'm going to have to go to a different harbor. Because apparently they can dock there, but they cannot get built there. Alright, Okinawa Island's a bit far. Let's just throw the rest of these things down all the way in Yokosuka or Port Arthur. Port Arthur is my new submarine base. Yeah, it's gonna get real busy in Port Arthur. The I3, I5, all of these Is that I currently have, they're somewhat outdated. I don't think that they really are going to do that much. What I am surprised about is that they still have a cadet training crew. I guess that this is something that's either not been fixed or that doesn't translate over. And what you see is that these guys are just generally, I don't know, forgotten about. The crew training focuses on the surface fleet. It does not focus on the submarine fleet. Although in this year, this era, there isn't really a submarine fleet or a surface fleet. I mean, submarines travel on the surface most of the time, unless otherwise directed. As for the range of these boats, that is fairly awful. 1591 means I'm going to scrap this guy. I'm going to scrap this guy as well. I don't need 10,000 kilometers, but I'm just going to have my submarine fleet with only the newest boats. This is going to take a while to build, though. 6 months. And in the meanwhile, do I really want to build something else? Perhaps, but I'm not sure what. I'm overhauling all of my heavy cruisers. I'm still building a couple of my new battleships. And I don't really have any new interesting hulls to work with. So when it comes to ship design, I'm going to hold off on that until something more interesting comes along. A few months later into the year, I have a really joyous discovery. The German New Guinea province that I now hold has oil. So let's see how much we can actually get. Oh, they accuse me and my staff of delays and disruption. Excuse me? It is slander invented by political parties. Yes, definitely slander. Fuck off. No. Bloody hell, you get so many pop-ups. Where's my oil? 1.6 million barrels per capita. Holy shit. And that's mine. So we are suddenly looking at a massive amount of oil. Compared to the US, oil production per capita 45,000, France 3,500, British 104,000, Italy none, China 11,000, Soviet 4,800, Austria-Hungary 1,700, Spanish none, Germany 365, and I only have 4,744. Oh, right. It's per capita. This is divided by the number of people that I have. So the number of populace that I have. And yeah, if you divide it up like that, then it isn't that much. But hey, at least I have oil and I don't have to either import it from somebody else, i.e. trade contract, or I have to try and get it from somebody else in a potentially more forceful way. What I did get, and not from somebody else, but from my own shipyards, is a nice little submarine fleet. We have 39 subs stationed at Port Arthur, and I think it is time to start deploying them. Oh my god, are you for real? I cannot have more than one submarine in a group? Seriously? Naval comms is what you need to do. Oh, good lord. Now, I built 50 of these. I'm not building 25 separate task forces just so I can manage my submarines and turn this into an absolute management nightmare. Send out 2 submarines and let's see what happens. These guys. Roll. Unrestricted submarine warfare. I'm not really sure what you're going to target. Also, why do you look like a battleship? What is the Eridano? What the hell? That's not that. It's not that. Is it a... It wouldn't be a Japanese or a Chinese ship. They wouldn't be called that. Okay. So, submarines. Nice plan. God-awful execution. What I will try and do is use these guys in an unrestricted warfare setting so that it can cause unwanted accidents against civilian or transport ships of neutral nations. So yes, I would very much like for these guys to start provoking China so we can go to war with China. Potentially also the USSR or Russia or whatever they're called today. Soviet Union. They got 4 battleships. 200... What? Okay, so the Soviet Union has gone on a destroyer building spree. This is interesting. 194 destroyers. What the fuck? How am I going to kill those? 194 destroyers. My cruisers are not great. This cruiser is probably the best option that I'm going to have. And I haven't built a cruiser yet. Well, I haven't built any ship yet in this era. This year. What sort of guns could I field? 5-inch single barrel. Oof. Probably best not to provoke the Russians then, at least for a while longer. Stick the Chinese. And then stick it to the Chinese. I think that's the better plan. Anyway, I have oil. That's a really, really important discovery. Finally, after much provoking, a serious incident has occurred which involves China. One of their profound politicians was assassinated in cold blood, and their government accuses us that we are behind this. They ask for humiliating concessions to forget the matter. So how much is their politician worth? 283 million. Yeah, nope. No. I'm gonna go to war with China. Here we go, and I'm not going alone. I am now besties with the Brits. I have way over 100 score, so I should be able to form a relationship with the British, an alliance, if you will, which is going to very, very nicely improve my fighting capability, because it means I get the access to the British ports. On top of that, I should be able to rely on the British fleet. The British fleet, which was visiting Singapore en masse. Well, at least they were in a previous episode, and it looks like they're still doing their little pilgrimage back and forth. It's interesting. Anyway, what do we get here? We get the Chinese to go to war. So what do the Chinese have? 18 battleships, 2 battle cruisers, 45 heavies, 9 lights, 10 DDs, and 4 submarines. What do I have? I have 9 battleships, 8 battle cruisers, 27 heavies, 30 lights, 22 DDs, and 51 submarines. 51 submarines. So if all of you gentlemen would like to start deploying your mines, then by all means. Because we have 16 mines. I'm still not exactly sure how you deploy mines. I do believe the boats do that all by themselves, so it shouldn't really be up to me to do much there. Ideally, we're going to drop mines, well, everywhere across the LOC, so long as we map it out. And this way we'll at least know not to run into our own. What I do hope to run into is a lonely battleship over there with 2 heavies for escorts and these guys over here. So let's form up a fleet and let's provoke the Chinese into going into a big battle. Oh, no. The Hatsuse is not supposed to be alive anymore. The Hatsuse is the last surviving of the original god-awful battleships of the Nagitsu class. Sorry, no. The Nagitsus were fine, the Nagaskis were awful. So the Suwo is going to get scrapped. The Suwo is going back to Nampo to get scrapped. Would you scrap a battleship at the beginning of a war? Generally, probably not. The reason why I am doing it is because I'd rather scrap the ship myself than have it shot to pieces. Because if it's shot to pieces, then the Chinese get victory points, and I rather don't want them to get any. So I'd rather scrap it myself over having them get the ship. And eventually be able to sink it. As for all of my light cruisers, right now I don't have any better plans. I don't have any better cruisers. This is what we get. So for now, I'm going to have to make use of these things. And potentially lose them. But I will try to at least make the encounters as fortunate for them as possible. Do we have any... I got a battlecruiser there, a battleship and 2 BCs there. Let's start pumping the fleet into these waters here. Here, the Chitose, another battlecruiser. Most of my ships have been refit, not all of them. I still have a couple of heavy cruisers to refit. And I got another battleship, the Taibo, awaiting refit. Shipyards are coming along nicely. I'm now looking at a capacity of 80,000 tons. It's just that I don't have the hull to go with it. So hull construction is what we're still waiting for. And until such a time as to when that is done, well, I'm stuck with my biggest thing, which I believe is 45,000 tons at this point. I don't really have any better hulls. Even if I did, I think the war isn't going to last that long. Yeah, I got 46,000 tons. If you up the beam and the draft to max, you're looking at a 52,000 ton warship, which is pretty big. It's just that it doesn't do a whole lot more tricks than what I currently already have. So I'm not going to go into building any battleships right now. I would much rather build up a war chest, use all that incoming money to go into research, and make sure that I get the best naval tech quickly. So get tech, get refits, especially since these refits generally only take a month, and start duking it out with the Chinese. That is the plan. So, up the research slider. Up the finance slider, crew training max, research max. And let's see if the Chinese are willing to party. Do we have anything here, like submarines that I can deploy? I want all the submarines moved over there. I can now put them out in whole groups of 3. I mean, progress. Yeah, we got a couple cruisers there, a couple DDs. 3 CAs there. No, that'll be fine. Let's see what the Chinese field. Let's see where the Chinese will strike. Oh, I'm invading. Okay. I am invading. From North Korea. I was kind of forgetting that I was in control of that. North Korea is going to invade, but first we got the Yomiuri and the Itsukushima engaging against the Shaoyong, the Shangcheng, and the Guanyingguao. That's a lot of defects on your ship. This thing isn't exactly built to spec either. And this thing also has some debuffs, but it's only 8%. Guns. 4 8.6s, 2 5.4s, and a bunch of 3.6s. And the DD has 3 torpedo tubes, 75 mines, and a mine hunter kit. Shouldn't be too much difficulty for my cruiser to start getting rid of these guys, because my cruisers still sail around with 12-inch guns. And I'm not... Sorry, 11-inch guns, and I'm not afraid to use them. So, if you would just kindly fall in behind the heavy cruiser and stay your torpedoes until such a time as when they're needed, we're going to find the enemy. Yomiuri has a trained crew. She thereby gets a little bit of boost to accuracy, a nice little bit of faster reload time by just 5%. That puts me at a reload of 37.5. Priority, sink the heavy cruiser. That's going to give me the most victory points. Beyond that, it would be nice to sink the light cruiser as well. The DD I'm not too concerned of for this particular group, but if the DD at some point runs into battleships, then that could be an issue. So I need to make sure it dies before the battleships and the battle cruisers actually arrive. The enemy's to the northwest, then why are we heading here? This way, please. Where are the Chinese? Because they're not that far away. The Chinese have found us and already shooting. So this is the courtesy of their destroyer. Pointing out targets for everybody else. Oh, minus 30, minus 15, minus 25. Good lord, that's awful. First salvo, slightly over. Okay, prioritize this guy, because he's coming in with a vengeance. High explosive. We are firing what? AP cap shells. That's going to be a bit too much. This is going to ding off, but HE shouldn't. CL, I want you to engage their CL. Holy crap, is that enough funnels for you? Basically one big engine with a couple of 3.6ers strapped to the side. Interesting choice. This guy. 6 funnels. Because 5 wasn't enough. Okay. We got a little bit of damage against something. Unsure what. Now with this accuracy debuff from the weather, we're going to have to get pretty close. If we want to actually have any decent chance of hitting something. Oh, damage to the main tower. That's a good start. Oh. Bloody hell, they carry a load of torpedo tubes. Second important thing to know is how many reloads they carry and how quickly they do that reload. Partial pen with HE. Okay. See, against a target angled like this, I'm willing to take my chances. There we go. Save. Xiaoyong. Decent armor scheme, really. Just that their armor quality is pretty bad. What is that? Yeah, nickel steel. Their armor quality is really quite bad. And you just launched a torpedo at my light cruiser. How rude. Chance to pen. 59%. I'll take it. Can that stern turret fire? Yeah, it should be. You just launched. So you're not going to launch again for the foreseeable future. You might. Oh, come on, dude. That would have been such a good hit. Perfect flat sword. And you just fluffed it. Okay, start targeting the destroyer now. I don't know if this torpedo is going to connect. If it is, it's going to hit the stern, which is already largely flooded. But that doesn't really help me. Well... Oh. Midships. Not a stern hit, but midships. I don't know if the destroyer is brave enough to start launching against my heavy cruiser with their heavy cruiser in the way. It might not. Do you have a stern tube? Is that a bow launcher? Oh, never mind. It's no launcher. Your torpedoes just went up. Yep, this thing just launched. The secondaries on that DD, please. This guy is coming a little too close. You can push against the DD because they just launched their torps. You can do a nice full donut and turn back towards the heavy cruiser. Try and keep your guns on the CA. I know it's not easy. But we gotta get this DD out of the way before you can safely return. I can do 20... Holy shit. I can do 23 knots. What can you do? 35? What sort of a bloody speedboat are you? Ooh. Sad thing I don't got bow launchers on these ships, but this is kind of the problem with these light cruisers. They're really not that good. This isn't helpful. Return fire with the torpedoes. Starboard launcher. Should have a pretty decent solution against the DD now. Torpedo away. DD turns, but not fast enough. I get about 700 points of damage. You can come back. That's going to flood that DD right quick. And with minimum bulkheads, it could be a death sentence, in fact. Look at that list! That is one unhappy destroyer. I like it. That is one unhappy destroyer. Okay, that should also eliminate their ability to fire. This guy doesn't have torps anymore, so I can kind of safely engage it with the light cruiser, barring the 8.6s. And their CL, I'm not really sure what their CL is up to. Missed. Turn back. I don't have to push with you. You got a half-dead heavy cruiser. I got a full health heavy cruiser. I like my odds. Oh, missed again. Where are you going then? Are you leaving? Because your 3.6s don't have that range. You got 5.4. You're not there. And your main gun has a 7.6 and an 8.3, depending on the type of ammo that you pick. How fast is this thing? 15 knots. Steady. I can do 20. So we'll be able to catch this guy. Let's go do just that. And wipe out a heavy cruiser. There's 9.7 million up for grabs. Mine is twice as expensive. I gotta be careful with this CL, because this guy spams torps like there's no tomorrow. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 side-mounted torpedo launchers. And the ammo to go with it. That's a lot of torpedoes. Okay. The range is 4 kilometers. So by all means, launch. Just so I can dodge it right now. Thank you. How many? I did see the torpedo drop. They had 22, so they just launched all 6 of them. Good to know. Nah. Cute. Would you like to come back and join the party? Now that the attention is shifted to the heavy cruiser again? Accuracy back up to 15%. Missed. Turn a bit. Take him down. Boom. Partial pen. How much can I pen? Or how much do I need to pen? I need to pen about 1.3 inches if I want to blow away their superstructure. I can't quite pen that with HE. Need to be a little closer. This HE is set to nose fuse, yeah. It's a fire starter. Really. Not exactly designed to go against something like this. With HE on the main shells. And that pushed him right back. Partial pen. CL is probably reloading the torpedoes and coming in for another pass very soon. It's interesting how they use this guy. Ooh. Did that go right through the bow? Yeah, it did. 4 belt pen. That didn't. Save on the launchers. Come on. Give me an HE shot. Partial pen, fire set. Crew loss, 11%. Many bulkheads, spacious quarters. I won't be able to kill the crew. Too many. Well, I'll be able to do it. It's just going to take a while. That destroyed a funnel. The secondaries on that. Boom! Destroyed the secondary gun. More fires. These things are now dialed in. 92% accuracy. Flooding. Go on. Launch your torps. How dare you? Did you miss that? Dude. Turn guns, looking the right way. Ow. Bloody hell. What the fuck was that? Come on. Torp corrected course. Oh, good lord. What's doing so much damage to the CL? Oh, sorry, CA. Is that you? Back to armor piercing. We soften them up and they're coming around for a turn. Do it. Blocked. Glorious. Where's the CL at? Here. Zoom out a little bit. This guy is really badly damaged. We're not penning them. And at this range, they can probably pen me with more accuracy. And, well... yeah, they can do a fairly hefty amount of damage. Go to HE, you're looking at a really angled stern. This guy has done 247 damage, this is 3.6k. Yeah, they've definitely done the most damage here. Okay, flat side, armor piercing. Go on. Starboard launcher, almost ready to go again. But this guy... where are your launchers and where are they ready? Oh god. They just launched their port side. They're coming in for an attack. If they're going to turn this way, I'm good. If they're going to turn that way, I'm going to be the subject of all of their torpedoes. Oh well. That's the risk that I'm taking. Ow. No, 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 no. That's something I really do not want you to do. This is going to be disastrous. Here it comes. Oh, this is going to hurt like hell. Oh. 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 4. Bloody hell. Flooding in 2, 3 compartments. Yeah, that could kill me. Could properly kill me. At least I didn't have any ammo detonation. Well, 1. Come on, increase the flank. Gotcha. You're dead. We're gonna hit you with HE, because you probably don't have that much armor, right? No. Please survive. Flooding seems to be under control. Ish. 32%, 31, 30. Oh, dude. They're going in for the second round. They got enough for one salvo. I need to get in there with my ship. Armor piercing. Torpedo away, but didn't hit him. Missed all. Come on. At least I pushed them away from the heavy cruiser, sort of. Ah, their buoyancy is going back up. Very good. Your structural maximum bulkheads. You just launched a torpedo at your sinking friendly? Wow. That's just poor taste. Oh, there's the rest of them. Hold. Turn. Ah. Turn too late. Come on, get him. Torpedo away, port side. I think. Must have already self-destructed. Thanks to the lovely reliability of my Japanese torpedoes. Means I got one torp left. That's gonna be a little tight. Zhangsheng doesn't have any torps left. They just have a lot of 3.6-inch guns. Okay, let's go in for the kill. Turn to port. Starboard launcher. Execute. Point blank range. 700 meters out. Torpedo away. Ship's flooding. Kill him. Boom. 1,600 damage. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of flooding as well. And without your speed, without your torpedo tubes, and without your guns, you got nothing. So this guy is dead. Interestingly, this light cruiser costs more than their heavy cruiser. So those were the opening shots of the war against China. This is just the beginning. 2,261 points. I lost 87 points, and my light cruiser might need some repairs, and my heavy cruiser is definitely going to need a lot of repairs. That guy got pretty badly mauled, but hey, it survived getting hit in the face with 4 torpedoes. So I am perfectly happy with the outcome of this battle. Because it didn't lose anything, except maybe a bit of pride. Done. So there's plenty more coming up, but this episode has run its course. Next time we're going to see the Nagitsu, which is one of those 8 13-inch gun battleships, and the Maya with her 8 12.9. So I got a lot of semi 13-inch guns. And the enemy battleships have 11s. Let's see how that's going to turn out in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching this one. I'll see you soon for the next.